Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
This morning we're continuing with Canto 10, Chapter 14, Text 36, excuse me. No, 35. And most likely, well, if there's a change, I'd be surprised. Most likely tomorrow, we're going to start Uddhava Gita. Canto 11. It's going to take, a year or so to complete Uddhava Gita, but we'll start tomorrow morning. And then the evening we'll continue with Brahma's prayers. So text 35, which we started yesterday evening, reads like this. My mind becomes bewildered, just trying to think of what reward, other than you, could be found anywhere. You are the embodiment of all benedictions which you bestow upon these residents of the cowherd community of Vrindavan. You have already arranged to give yourself to Putana and her family members in exchange for her disguising herself as a devotee. So what is left for you to give these devotees of Vrindavan, whose homes, wealth, friends, dear relations, bodies, children, and very lives and hearts are all dedicated only to you? We're going to hear two commentaries. It's going to be a shorter class this morning. Jiva Goswami writes, "Oh Lord, what can you give to the people of Braja, whose houses, possessions, friends, dear ones, bodies, sons, life, heirs, and hearts are dedicated only to you, since there is nothing superior to you or Braja, which you have already given?" Thinking of this, my mind becomes bewildered. You awarded yourself even to Putana and her family members because she wore a disguise of a nurse. Joking with Brahma, Krishna replies, if I give you the dust of their feet as the highest object, what can I give them in exchange? Previously you said that you praised me in order to attain me. Now you ask for their foot dust only. Your steadiness is very good. Fearing such a joking question from the Lord, Brahma recites this verse. Asham indicates those people of Braja possessing glories. It's a pronoun, refers to the other verses. Utta indicates a question. There is no superior place to Braja. There is no superior result than your Swarup. What else can be given to them? I do not know. Ayan, any fruit superior to you. I am bewildered, since I cannot determine this. Putana seemed to, or Iva means like, seemed to wear the clothing of a nurse of Braja. Sat Veshat. The word Iva also indicates that it was a disguise to kill Krishna, not worn with devotion. Therefore, how could she get the same result as a devotee? That is the hint. And then Jiva Goswami quotes this very celebrated verse. It's a nice verse to memorize if you haven't already. It starts, Aho Bhakiyam Stana Kala Kutam. This is Uddhava, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 23. 3:2:23. Uddhava to Vidura, glorifying Krishna. Aho bhakiyam stana kala kutam jighamsa yapa yayad api asadvi lebhe gatim datriya uchitam tatonyam kam vadayalum sharanam vrajema. Oh, evil Putana, who offered her poisonous breast to Krishna to drink with the intention of killing him, attained the position of a nurse in the spiritual world. Who else is so merciful? I surrender to him. In this verse, api asadi. Api indicates, if Putana attained your shelter, what can be said of others? She, along with her family members, past and present, attained you by your mercy. Others in her family were enemies of the Lord, but obedient to her, attained the same Lord. However, Baka and Agha, wearing contrary clothing, attained only liberation. Only liberation. Surit, that's this. Not this verse from Canto 3, Chapter 2. It's from today's verse. Krishna is Surit. Surit means one who gives benefit without asking for anything. Surit means one who gives benefit without asking for anything. That's Krishna. And it's the unconditional devotee. Piraha means an object of affection. All people of Braja spontaneously regard you alone as their treasure, Tvat Krite, and you regard each of them as a treasure. Thus they are complete. But you cannot repay them and remain as if incomplete. What will you give them? Thinking that you are under their control, thinking that you are under their control because of debts to them, I have surrendered to the dust of their feet to have my desires fulfilled in relation to you. I'll cover that sentence again, it's important. This is, once again, it's Raganuga Bhakti, embedded within Brahma's prayer. What's Brahma's desire? He wants to attain Krishna. But he's not asking Krishna, can I attain you by becoming president for Vrindavan? I, Brahma, am thinking, you're under their control. And how so? Because you're indebted to them. How so? Because look what you did with Putana. No, what does it mean? What's your sensibility in relation to the residents of Braja? You're indebted to them. You can't repay them. You have a debt to them which you can't repay. And that's my understanding of these residents of Vrindavan. You're indebted to them. Therefore, I have surrendered the dust of their feet to have my desires fulfilled in relation to you. Let's do it again. Supposing that lovely day comes when our Krishna consciousness starts to become more matured. We're not just doing regulations of sadhana bhakti, we're doing, but this stronger desire awakens to attain Krishna. Not just notionally, but it awakens, it becomes stronger. How are you going to fulfill that desire? If you're Brahma, you're very intelligent, and you understand these residents of Vrindavan have dedicated everything to you. This and that and the other, there's nothing else. There's nothing else. You gave yourself to Putana, you're indebted to these residents of Vrindavan. They control you. And if I get their mercy, I can get you. It should be understood that there is an unfailing bond between Krishna and the people of Braja. Final. Defeating the question at the beginning of the paragraph, Brahma presents the highest conclusion, namely, the prema of the people of Braja, which controls Krishna, is the highest fruit. So what was that question at the beginning? It was his bewilderment. His question. My mind becomes bewildered just trying to think of what reward, other than you, could be found anywhere. And there isn't more, but reward is his indebtedness to them, unflinching indebtedness to them. No matter what, indebtedness to them. Because he's indebted, he has a debt. Now how can the Supreme Lord have a debt? He's the Supreme Lord. This is the sweetness of Braja. It's the rasa of Braja. It's the mood of love in the residents of Vrindavan, aside from the divinity of Krishna and the people who are worshippers of the divinity factor of Krishna. More attractive to Krishna is that than all the hymns and prayers of the Vedas being recited to him. That attracts Krishna. The prema of the people of Braja, which controls Krishna, is the highest fruit. So how to get that? Get their mercy. Sanatana Goswami writes, my mind is bewildered. It cannot determine with certainty. Or another reading of the Sanskrit could be, controlled by debts to them, you give up persons like me and remain in Gokula. Thus, my mind is bewildered with extreme lamentation and sadness. Putana, Baka, and Agha attained the Lord. Baka and Agha attained the Lord by his touch, specifically. He entered into the mouth of Agha, he entered into the mouth of Baka by his touch. They attained him. Since you, remember Brahma is very intelligent, he understands the Vedas, he understands the essence of the Vedas. Since you are actually the embodiment of all results, Vishva Pala is fruit. You are the embodiment of all results, Vishva Pala. I do not know, Ayan, what can be given to the cowherds other than yourself? Nowhere. Kutra, is it possible? Since being born in Mathura or Braja is perfection already. Ayan can also mean, I do not know by any means, at any time. Even though Putana hated the devotees, Sad, Dveshat, desiring to kill them, she and her family members, who were famous for killing children, attained you. The reason was that she gave her breast for feeding Krishna. This was already explained. Already explained as this is chapter 14, and that pastime took place many chapters ago. One can only attain the Lord by having a favorable attitude to the Lord. She didn't. Except for that one little thing. She was made to attain Apita Krishna by becoming non-different from him, by developing a slight favorable attitude to him. Being friendly, she must attain you. Krishna. Should I give myself to the people of Vraja, along with my place and wealth? Answer. They have given everything for serving you, Tvat Krite. If you give similar things to them, then you are equal, showing gratitude. But this does not accomplish your special, famous compassion. So he doesn't go into the rest. That's it for this morning. But the logic is you've already given yourself and you've given Vraja to them. So you've given that to Putana. What are you going to give to them? You're indebted to them. You can't repay that debt. How are you going to repay that debt? Vishwanath, he can't. Or he dedicates himself to them. Forever indebted. A debt that you can't pay back. Now the flip side is how a disciple feels to the descending mercy that has come into their life, and they're forever indebted. Can you repay? You're forever indebted. And if one thinks otherwise, they're an illusion. That person thinks otherwise. I'm not forever indebted. I can pay off the debt and see you later. It's not. Then they haven't really understood. They haven't really received. It's a debt one cannot repay. And so the mystery, one of the mysteries of Vraja is Krishna feels like that to the residents of Vrindavan. Now while he feels like that to the residents of Vrindavan, he leaves Vrindavan. At least apparently, in Leela. He does things that leave people scratching their heads. Why does he, with the intimacy of love, he speaks scolding things to the gopis, and they speak scolding things to him, and all of those kinds of things. They steal Madhu Mangal's lunch bag, and he goes running because he likes lunch. And then they throw the lunch bag to someone else, and he starts crying. You're offended, Brahmin. You're going to go to hell. Give me my lunch bag back. And the tact pastimes. So many most amazing pastimes that are very. Sometimes he purposely in this Gauri Kund Leela, worshipping Gauri, he purposely mentions Chandravali's name to Radha, knowing what's going to happen. Her mind goes, she gets in her angry mood and she goes and leaves him alone. And he does it purposefully. At least according to Rupa Goswami, he does so purposely because he wants to have a change of mood and a certain different pastime. And the very next scene is Vrinda comes, and he requests Vrinda, I want give me an outfit I can dress like Gauri. Now he doesn't even need Vrinda to make an outfit to dress like Gauri, but he gives her some service, because there's another Leela. And the other Leela is to prevent Abhimanyu from taking Radha from Vrindavan to Mathura. Impossible. So he has a pastime to stop it. But even the pastime for her to be taken from Vrindavan to Mathura is a pastime. It's so profound. He's just enjoying. It's one thing, the atheists don't want to recognize the existence of God, and the theists recognize the existence of God. And there's different conceptions of the theists about God, this and that and the other thing. And the Vaikuntha-vasis have awe and veneration to the all-powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the residents of Vrindavan, they have all these amazing pastimes with Krishna. And because of their kind of love for Krishna, he can have that intimacy with them, that he cannot have with those that are worshipping him in veneration. He likes, and they like. And that's the sweetness of Vrindavan. So, if you understand that about Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan, you're really smart to want the mercy of the residents of Vrindavan. Because that was the previous verse. I want to take birth in some form or fashion so some of the dust from the residents of Vrindavan can fall on my body. And it sounds in one sense like, wow, that's really humble. In another sense, it's really greedy. Because he's intelligent. He's not only just humble, he's very intelligent. He doesn't have that rasa that they have. He wants it. To want residents of Vrindavan, you have to get the mercy of the residents of Vrindavan. Otherwise, it's not possible. Whether you're Brahma or the goddess of fortune, or anyone, a really good person, mode of goodness person, worshipper of God person. So it's not poo-pooing people that don't have that, it's just honoring those that have that. And we're little people, and we're being given, spoon-fed, that at least stimulation, an inkling, to hanker that kind of love for Krishna. Therefore, read Srimad Bhagavatam and distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. That's our founder Acharya's wish. He wanted to give, he wanted to have it distributed, and wanted people to read and relish together. Dedicate themselves to the topics of Krishna and discuss the topics. Katayantascha mam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. Okay, almost 8 o'clock. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Guru Maharaj, just trying to understand the sweetness of Krishna.
Good. Me too.
So our acharyas are presenting this point that Krishna, you gave yourself to Putana, who just came in disguise, did some little service, and that too not wantingly. But these Vrajavasis have given everything to you. What can you give them? I'm trying to understand, isn't Krishna, he is giving everyone in different ways? Like the sweetness that he has with the Vrajavasis is totally different from, even though he gives himself to every devotee, but isn't the sweetness totally different that he interacts with the, like what you said with the tax pastime and so many other things. So in one sense he has given himself differently, is it not? Trying to intellectually think.
Well, the answer is obviously yes. And so?
And so there is no question like he is indebted. He is indebted, but he is reciprocating in different ways to the Vraja, even though they have given.
Well, if you want to take the position he's not indebted, you're welcome to take that position. But he's feeling, he's not indebted, but he's feeling indebted. There's the tattva and then there's the rasa.
Yeah, I got it.
Over on this shoulder.
And the way you said, Srila Prabhupada, he highly recommended to read Srimad Bhagavatam, and to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. So when I read Srimad Bhagavatam, I see there are no pastimes of Radharani and Krishna in that. And I also read that he highly discouraged for people like us to read those pastimes. So when we will come to know that now we are entitled to read those pastimes?
It's not that we're not entitled to read those pastimes. There's different explanations, but one of the prominent ones is Shukadeva Goswami didn't detail those pastimes because he would have lost it. He would have gone into ecstasy, he wouldn't have been able to complete Srimad Bhagavatam. So he didn't go into those pastimes. Because it's Shukadeva Goswami, he's such a Rasika Bhakta, he would have been unable to continue. He wanted to continue. So, but that doesn't mean you're not eligible. So now, what's the eligibility? That's your question. Have a firm foundation in fundamentals. Become conversant, thoroughly conversant, and convinced in the teachings that are in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. That doesn't mean you have to be a perfected, self-realized Brahma-bhuta entity with no attraction for anything material. But you have a faithful grasp of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, then you're eligible. And continue with the bread and butter before you start adding. Okay.
And one more question, like Radha Sahasranam. It has 1,000 names of Radharani. So is it okay to go through that with the children, or we should not do that? No?
Not children. Over here?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is related to this Surat.
Which?
Surat. One who gives benefit without asking for anything. Krishna is Surat. That's
okay. Surit.
Surat.
It sounds like you said Sura. It's Surit.
Surat.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was today morning, like while chanting, I was struggling a lot, and I was again and again praying that, like, please give me the strength to focus. So I was thinking that we want to focus, but some thoughts which are like current thoughts which are ongoing, they just creep in without even like our knowing, and then I think that, oh, I got again deviated, and then I again feel so bad about it, and I'm asking and praying. But like as you mentioned that Krishna benefits without asking, so like how should I pray? Is it some like issue with my prayers, or I'm not properly focused with my prayers, something like that?
No, that's not what it means.
So how can we pray better?
How can you pray better?
Yeah.
Keep doing it. That's how you pray better.
So focus will come slowly. Attention.
Krishna is very kind. Nothing is mechanical in the bhakti process. Did you receive a copy of that automatic little mini essay that Burijan wrote? Write to Prema Tarangini, she'll send it to you, she has a copy.
Sure.
Okay, so automatically doesn't mean mechanically. It means in due course of time.
Right.
Okay, so in due course of time.
Yeah. Sure.
So there's sincerity of effort and there's Krishna's mercy. That's the right combination. So when that combination becomes matured,
Okay.
automatically, meaning in due course of time.
Right.
Krishna can bestow. He wants you to be more eager, and you don't like get passionate about it. You get pure about it.
Yeah.
Not fruitive, but devotional. There's a difference. And so there's a price to pay for purity. Welcome to the Bhakti Club. That's the tuition fee or the registration fee.
Could you please elaborate on that, Maharaj? Like price to pay, so like I
can say the same thing again. We make sustained effort with faith,
Yeah. Okay.
and gradually the yearning becomes enthusiasm. Whatever a condition may be. I'm still down there, but I'm enthusiastic. So the cloud has lifted a little bit, because now, rather than just seeing darkness, I'm trying to like get out of darkness. I'm still down, but I see. I have a deeper sense, an inner sense of the mercy of Krishna is here. My faith has matured. I'm still down, but my faith has matured.
Yes.
That's the price.
Maharaj, I have 2 more questions. So, like we learned that we need, like Lord Brahma is taking shelter of the Vrajavasis to get Krishna. So, my question is for us, what is the instruction for us? Like we take
Follow
shelter.
Brahma. That's the instruction is become a follower of Brahma, who is a follower of the residents of Vrindavan. He is hankering for that opportunity. And that hankering for is taking shelter. Same for you. Take the message of this particular message, or the Bhagavatam's message, and bring it inside. That's your prayer.
So for us devotees who are around us and our guides and preceptors, we can take shelter in them.
Next question.
So last question is, Maharaj, like it is little unrelated. So when we are taking decisions about like mundane issues, which is like
About which issues?
mundane,
Mundane, okay.
which is like a day-to-day interaction for grahasthas probably. Say for example, whether to go for teaching in this pandemic time or not, or taking a COVID vaccine or not, this kind of decisions when we have to take, and they, at least at my mature stage, they look like very unrelated, and how can I please Krishna through, so what should be my decision? So there I struggle a lot.
To make your body, that the alignment of this human form of life has been awarded to me to utilize for God realization and self-realization. So align the decision making with that objective. You know, taking COVID or not taking, we're all looking at that one.
Mhm.
Probably. I'm looking at that one. And you know, this body is meant for service to Krishna, etc. It's not that's so that it takes it not off. It takes it. It's in the field of the material energy, but it's not mundane. Yukta Vairagya. That's how. And it takes some refinement of consciousness, because there's all kinds of other things going on besides, you know, this human form of life is meant for service to Krishna. But the refinement will come in course of time. It's the same question asked in a different field. Okay?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Anything else? Behind you? And then we're going to go to online.
Thank you so much for the wonderful class. My question is on living in the Dham.
Living in the Dham.
Living in the Dham. It's mostly because when we heard about Putana going there and without any intention of even, with the whole intention of killing him, and Krishna is so merciful, as the acharyas describe, that he gives him liberation. And then
more than liberation.
More than liberation. Yeah, he gives himself. Yeah. Reading this and then reading Jiva Goswami, saying that, or hearing Jiva Goswami say that Vraja is the highest place.
Prema of the Vrijvasis is the highest.
Also, I think there was a mention about Vraja being the highest place also.
Okay. But Vraja means that the residents, and the residents have that prema. That's the special place, that's the special feature of Vraja. You just unpack Vraja and that's what you get.
Okay. After reading this and after getting inspired, many devotees, kind of like take the decision, and also Nectar of Instruction, Nectar Devotion talk about living in the home, and taking that as an instruction, moving there, and after that, you realize, I don't know if it's, I'm not feeling the same feelings, or I'm not getting that experience of living in a town when I actually move there. Perhaps, they may get challenges, they may look at the externals, focus on the externals, and they may feel, that this is not probably the right decision. So I just want to hear from you about living in a dham, and is that something that devotees should do?
We're all individuals. Some devotees should, and some devotees should visit, and some devotees should be qualified to even visit before visiting. So it's different for different individuals, what's should. An inspiration for many is follow Srila Prabhupada. He left Vrindavan. His heart didn't leave Vrindavan, but he was impelled not only by the instruction of a spiritual master, but compassion. People shouldn't suffer. And all over the world, and they're suffering. And the audience is a hard nut to crack. But I don't want to see them so thinking that as far as Bhagavad Gita's message, there's no one more dear to Krishna than that person. So it should depends on the consciousness and in one's spiritual trajectory and all those things. Become qualified.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, this statement, this point over here, like stronger devotion awakens, right? Stronger devotion awakens.
Stronger?
Devotion awakens.
I'm asking, is that the word you use, stronger?
Yes.
Stronger?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't understand that more, Maharaj, like what are the symptoms at least to understand that stronger devotion awakens for that person?
Steadiness. And, rather than me-centered, it's Krishna-centered. Those are two. And then, because I've been hearing it lately, the qualities of a divine personality are found in that person. Chapter 16, Divine and Demoniac. The divine qualities are manifest by using Prabhupada's language, symptoms. Okay?
This question is from Snehavalli Mataji. From verse 34, with Jiva Goswami's commentary, we very kindly explained the superiority of Vraja Raj, the best of the Vrajavasis. My question is, why Lord Brahma demeaning the 5 types of liberation as unfavorable for service? Is it only to show the superiority of Vraja Raj?
Yes.
And she continues, the 5 types of liberation do provide favorable opportunity of service.
Well, 4 of them do.
4 of them.
But it depends. They may or may not. Specific to Braja Prema.
Question from Uttama Bhakta Prabhu. From yesterday, Acharyas have dynamic relationships and experience with the Lord's pastimes, which they share with us. In our case, will we follow Srila Rupa Goswami or someone we are attracted to according to our mood and understanding?
Well, my advice to you, Uttam Bhakta, is follow those who are followers of Rupa Goswami, and in that way you're a follower of Rupa Goswami.
Last question from Sanchari. This is from yesterday's class. You mentioned about the big palace.
Okay.
She was asking, why are they protectors of the spiritual world?
You can read in Brahma Samhita text 7, the answer is there, but I'll summarize. The answer is that unqualified people should not enter. And there's different categories. Bhaktisiddhanta identifies different categories. They may wish to enter, but they're not qualified, so they're not permitted to enter. The good news is, when you reach Goloka, it's really nice. Because there's no unqualified people there. So become qualified. That's it. Prabhupada ki Jai.